All right, everyone, we're going to be looking at the group-based licensing lab here in this piece. So what we're going to do here first is, if your machine is not already turned on, go ahead and turn it on, your virtual machine here. We are going to do a couple things here first. So once your computer's up and running, go ahead and log in. We're going to open up Active Directory users and computers. Okay, then we'll maximize this here to make this easy. We're going to right click on the domain name. Of course, yours is going to be different. We're going to hit New, Organizational Unit, and we will call this Disabled Users. Hit OK. And now we see we have this Disabled Users OU. So there's a couple things that we have to do here. So we're going to have to minimize this. Remember when we were looking at the synchronization service? Remember this? And we click on it here. Guess what ends up happening? Gonna load up. And we'll be able to see the recent synchronizations that have happened. There's been a lot, obviously. We're going to click over here on connectors. Now what this is going to do here is going to show us the two connectors. We have the essentially the inbound one here, which is the Active Directory, as you can see right here, Active Directory Domain Services. So this is the Office 365 one, or excuse me, the on-premise Active Directory one, excuse me. This one right here is the Office 365 Azure Active Directory. Consider that kind of the outbound, even though they're both inbound and outbound depending on the scenario here. But what we're going to do here is we're going to right-click on the Active Directory Domain Services, and then we're going to go to Properties. And then we're going to go to Configure Directory Partitions, which is the third one down here. Then we're going to go all the way down to the bottom right here where it says Containers. Go ahead and click on it. It's going to ask for a username and password. Just erase it. This does not bind to this account. So type in your your on-premise domain administrator. So you can use the admin one, or you can use the as you see on here, we're good here, or you can use the admin one, or you can use the account that we created. I use my M. Alloway account. So feel free to use whichever one you want, as long as it's an enterprise administrator. Now we want to make sure on here that we have these two checked, and that new disabled users OU that we have is not checked. Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's the case. If yours is checked, just go ahead and uncheck it. Remember, I only wanted these two here, this users as well as just the users. So the PSP-users as well as just the users OU. If those are good and looks essentially the same way that mine does, go ahead and hit cancel, and then we can cancel out of this as well. Okay, now there's another thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go to here, and we're going to go to PSP users, or again, whatever yours is. You may have changed it to a different name, whatever it is. We're going to right click, we're going to do new, and we're going to do group. So this group name here, we're going to call M365 we'll call it license. Looks good to me. We are going to make sure that this is a universal group. It's just a good practice to make everything universal. Global and domain local. Domain local's never used for anything anymore, and they never really should be. Globals are fine, but they kind of are a little bit weird when it comes to the AD Connect server. So we always make everything universal here. We're going to create this as a security group. We're going to hit OK. We're going to leave it exactly like that. We're not going to touch it anything right now. We're going to come back to this here in time. So then what we're also going to do here is we want to kickstart. Remember, we're on a 30-minute interval here. Well, we want to kickstart that synchronization. We want this to get moving here quickly. So again, we're going to come down here to PowerShell, right-click on it, run it as administrator, hit yes. We're going to type in that command. Now, you may still have it if you did that on the previous one of the previous labs there. Just hit the up button. But essentially, we're going to type in this start-AD sync cycle, and then we're going to hit enter. Result is a success. We come over here to the operations. We'll see. All right, so we had a Delta import to PocketSquare Professor Live. We're going to have some others that are going to pop up here in just a second. So here is the PSP Alloway, which is the Office 365 side. We can see that it's currently in progress. And that was really quick. Nothing there. We come over here to Delta synchronization. We had a couple little minor updates. And then the exports are where we're going to see things here. As you see here, we have an add. And if we click on that little add there, we have a distinguished name, which I don't know why they always show the distinguished name there. It's a little annoying to read. But if we double click on it, and whenever it wants to load up here, we will see that is the M365-license. So it's a group. So here's the new value for it, and this is essentially everything that was attached to it. So this shows if we hit close and we minimize, and again, inside of the Office 365 portal here, we can come, and again, back to our good old buddy, the Azure Active Directory portal. Click Active Directory, and then we'll see groups over here. And as you see here, we see that we have M365 license. That is the group there that was essentially synchronized. And if we click columns, we do have the ability to expires created. Oh, maybe we don't anymore, but we'll come inside of here and we can see that if we go to the properties of it, we will see, okay, with the new ones that we have on here, that's right, the group right back stuff is all new on here. So not a problem, but again, we'll see that this is a security group. And if we come over here to members, we have no members yet, okay? And that's fine. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to click on this license piece here. And we have no license assignments found, so we're going to go ahead and hit add assignment. So remember we had this, we upgraded our license to the Enterprise Mobility and Security E5, so we're going to go ahead and put a checkbox in there. This will automatically give us the ability to use all of the Defender and pretty much everything that we see on here. So we're going to keep these here pretty much as normal. We're not going to just uncheck any of these. We're just going to keep them all the same. We're going to hit save. So what ends up happening is we have 9 of 9 services enabled for the Enterprise Mobility and Security. We're going to hit active. Okay, now coming back over to our users, if we come over here to the Microsoft 365 admin portal, we go to active users, and we'll see I have one user that has the EMS E5 license, but I want to put Neil Peart and give him access to that E5 license. So as opposed to coming in here, going to license and apps and assigning this license to him, which again, like I said, that's annoying. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come back to our on-premise organization, keep everything up that we were working on. Let's go to this license group, go to members, hit add, and then we'll just type in npeart. Check name, and you'll see that it automatically fills that all out. Hit OK. Now remember, I don't want to wait 30 minutes, so I'm just going to come back to PowerShell, which I kept up, press the up button. I'm going to start this synchronization again. And we can watch this. Now you'll notice you may have some export errors that are on here. This one right here is a permission issue. Essentially what it's saying here is that the AD Connect service account does not have access to my account. Well, there's a couple of reasons for that here, and we can fix that really easy. If you have this on yours, that's fine. Well, we're waiting for this to replicate here anyway. We'll come over here, and we go to users, and we'll go to properties, and we got to go to the security tab, which is go up here to view, and then we want to do advanced features. Then we come over here to PSP users, go to security, go to advanced, we have inheritance disabled. So if this button says enable inheritance, that means that inheritance is disabled. Now what does inheritance mean? Well, essentially what that means is that any permission sets that apply to the entire organization unit, they will actually not apply to this account, which again, in this instance here, which I didn't mean to actually close that out. Okay, it's still open there. So we enable it here, we hit OK. And we hit OK, then what will end up happening is that everything that we make now, we are re-enabling inheritance, so everything will now trickle in on it. So the problem that we had there was that service account, that MSOL account there, did not have access to this particular user. So I just enabled inheritance, and now it will. So that will actually clean up that error that's on here too. Now, just another thing here while we're waiting for replication, a good practice in here from time to time is to come in here and just right-click anywhere and go to Clear Runs. And then uncheck this little box here where it says Save Runs before clearing them. Go ahead and hit OK. Now, I always like to do this in a lab environment because it keeps things clean. I don't really like having all of these logs in here because they start getting annoying after a while. So this will clean it up here and just keep it fresh. All right. Now, we should pretty much have gotten the entire time here. So we'll go ahead and minimize this. We'll come back here. And if we refresh, you will see that Neil has the EMS E5 license attached to it. Well, that's because we come over here to members and we will see that, hey, Neil Peart, now we have access to this particular license. It's been applied to all users and Neil now has it. Now, here's a cool part about this here, and I'm just going to show you how easy this is, and it's a good practice to do this, the reason why we use disabled users. So again, Neil leaves the company. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and I will disable his account. At that point there, Neil is not able to log in. And right now what ends up happening, there is a little sync service that is happening. The password hash sync is actually synchronizing that up to the cloud there, so the user itself will be unable to access it in the cloud. But if I want to, what I can do here is I can go to All Tasks, and we want to move. We'll move this to the Disabled Users OU. And again, because I want to kickstart this here, I don't want to wait 30 minutes, we're going to start the AD Connect sync cycle, which we get everything on here. Now we'll see on here, this will pop up. There we go. Oh, we got to delete. So we'll wait for these to finish up. Here's the export. This is the one that we will see in due time. Whenever it wants to finish up here. But we will see this here as a delete. Now we should also see some updates as well. We have an update as well. And that's for my account, because remember I enabled that inheritance in there. But again, if we click on delete, come over here, and we will see that, hey, Neil Peart is gone. So coming back over to the admin center, we'll do a refresh. And it may take a minute or two, but there we go. He is gone. He's no longer a user that is inside of my Azure Active Directory. And if we come over here to the left where it says deleted users, we'll see that he's over here. There's really nothing I can do with this particular user here. It is just to the fact of, hey, this is a deleted user. That's it. Now again, let's just say I made a mistake. Or again, using that example that I said before where Neil or Sally, rescinded her resignation. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, all I have to do, right click, move, put them back to PSP users. And then, of course, we want to enable the account now so they can log in. And like I said, I don't want to wait 30 minutes. Kickstart that. Wait for this to run, and we will see Neil is back from the deleted users to the active users. So again, this whole concept here around license management, user provisioning, deprovisioning, all of this, very important. We want to make sure that we manage our licenses appropriately, and that's where group-based licenses come into play. They're super easy to work with, and I love the fact that we can just do this on premise, because that means if we have automation scripts that are on premise already, we can just encompass that into it. It's really easy to work with. But again, looking through this as a whole, it's really coming out here. Oh, we got some, hopefully some ads we should get. There we go, ads and updates. Now, again, this update, what do we think that update was? Well, let's look on it here real quick. Oh, that's right. We got a new user here. We added a user to that account, to that license group there. So remember, we added Neil back into it. So just to show you, and coming back here, Neil is no longer in the deleted users. Coming back over here, Neil is back in the regular users, and guess what? Still has his licenses attached to it and everything. So it's all really good and super easy to work with there. So at a high level standpoint, that's pretty much how we do user management and license management inside of Office 365. Really important stuff here. This is where we really got to play around with different factors here. So for instance, and just to give you another idea, maybe we want to have this one here where we don't want people to have the Azure Rights Management Service or the, I don't know, Intune, let's just say. We don't want that to be the case there. We want to have kind of select our apps that are available. Well, we can do that. And that's how it's done through the licensing. Super easy. And we can do that with like the Office 365 one. Say we don't want people to have Kaizala. Okay. We don't want them to have Kaizala. So we just don't license them for it. It's that simple. So at a high level standpoint, that's how we do management of users and licenses inside of Office 365. Hope you learned something on this one here, but with that being said, that is the last bit of this particular lab here. Thank you for your time. Hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one.